We will have to rethink what technology can do. What the world needs is more flexibility. Delivery robots are in high demand across China. They are self-driving and minimize the risk of exposure as the country continues to struggle to curb the spread of this virus. Orders for the robots are now 6 times higher than normal. But of course, factories cannot keep up with the demand because the coronavirus has put a dent on the supply chain. It's not just about productivity, it's about the well being of our people and our society. Are you worried that this notion of going to a more digital, remote type workforce exacerbate the great divide between people who have to show up and make products versus those who can work remotely? Critical services are happening because the people are working, delivering, driving. We have to do, as a society, everything to ensure that we value this. This crisis, this situation is just the most unprecedented crisis that we as a world has seen. As we should get spread around the world to help our own go home and work from home and stay safe. One of the fundamental things that I worried about, I want us to study more deeply before we claim that everything is fine, even in remote work, is a point we make, which is what about the human connections? When I look back at my own self, whenever I used to walk into the meeting and the hallway, I would meet the people, talk to them, learn from them, and connect to build a social capital before the meetings, after the meetings. All that had a real impact on my outlook. How I approached work, what I learned. I feel sometimes now we are taking all the social capital we built up and the burning it a bit while we are staying productive remotely. The connecting the world. This is bringing internet access to the billions of people today who don't have it. The solving some of the hard problems in artificial intelligence to build a system that helps manage the immense complexity of online data and offline world. Building the world's best virtual reality system that gives us this true sense of presence. Like we are actually at a place that doesn't exist, with a set of other people who may be physically thousands of miles away from us, and create shared memories and experiences like no other systems we could have before. Humans have two basic types of ability. Humans have physical ability and cognitive ability. In the past, machines competed with human on physical ability, so humans moved to working in jobs that require mainly cognitive ability, like in services, like being a doctor, translator, a teacher, something like that. Now computers and AI are competing with us, not just on physical abilities, also in cognitive ability, and we don't know of any third kind of ability that will learn the physical and cognitive ability to the machine and will do something else. We don't know what like something else maybe. In addition, even if there are new jobs, it's not clear that people who lost their previous jobs will be able to adapt it and reinvent themselves as something new. For instance, let's say that we don't need truck drivers anymore, but we needed people to design 3D virtual realities. There are many new jobs in designing the 3D virtual realities. Now, would 50 years old truck drivers be able to reinvent themselves as the designers of a virtual world? This is not at all clear. So even if there are new jobs, we might have millions people who have no jobs, no economical values, and therefore also no political power. We don't know what to teach children today so that they will have the necessary skills when we are older. Nobody knows that the job market would look like that in 30 years. So nobody knows what to teach children today in school or college. Most of what we teach them today probably be irrelevant by the time they are 40. But we don't know what else to teach them because we are unable to predict the job market of the future. Today, all the countries are connected to one another with trade. And in developing countries, this is where we find people who are dependent mainly on cheap labor or on the simple jobs. Now, if all these people in third world countries lose their jobs, because we needed to give the people not just the food and shelter, we also needed to give them some meaning in life. And if people do not have jobs, if they are not able to do anything better than the computer or the robot, what will give them the meaning in life? People will not have to work, and they will spend most of their lives just playing more and more sophisticated computer games and three-dimensional virtual realities. And this is what will give them the excitement and interest and the meanings. And you already see at the beginning to happen that more and more people spend more of their times in cyberspaces, which gives them the more interest and more meaning than the reality outside. Most of us take for granted the existence of human rights, money, and cooperation, but almost no one of us ever thought of these things as fictional. We cannot have any large-scale human cooperation without some common stories on which people believe. For example, when we think about it, it becomes very obvious that money have no objective values, and it receives their values simply from the fact that many people believe in the same story about dollars or about yen. And most economists know that. It doesn't mean that we can just stop believing in money. If we do that, the entire economic system will collapse, and strangers will not be able to cooperate with one another. Facing many a problem in the world is if people are very able to distinguish between reality and fiction. Because over time, what happened to humans is that we lost the ability to distinguish what is real from what is just a story that we have invented. Many people they go to wars and they kill the millions and serving the imaginary entirely like the nation or the corporation or God. We have to be able to make a fiction serve as instead of us being servants or slaves to these fictions. So how to tell the difference between what is real, what is just your imagination? There are several ways, but I think that one of the best tests for distinguish fiction from reality is the test of suffering. Suffering is the most real things in the world. Suffering is maybe caused by our beliefs in fiction. For example, if you go to the world because you believe in some fiction story about God or about a nation, it causes tremendous suffering to millions of people. The suffering is real, even if it is caused by a belief in fiction. ability to believe fiction. Homo sapiens have been made possible to creating the believed fiction, such as human life, nation, and corporation. How do you think we have become the ability to believe such fictions? Other animals do not believe the fiction. Chimpanzees don't have the gods, and gorillas and the dolphins do not have the money, and they don't have a corporation. It's unique to us. We don't understand what it is about. We are still very far from understanding the human brain and suddenly the human mind. We do not really understand how humans are able to use languages and to use their imagination in order to create complete reflection of reality. I think for the folks and this connectivity is something we take for granted. We connect over 4G, 5G, get annoyed at when we drop down to the 3G. I realize outside of the very dense, wealthy urban areas, these terrestrial regions, it's extraordinarily expensive to provide the infrastructure needed for internet connectivity. Fiber cable through the ground, we have to build a cell phone tower, we have to build all this infrastructure to allow us to have this amazing connectivity. In order to truly reduce the cost of that infrastructure, we needed to go back to the sky. We are exploring multiple different solutions for multiple different parts of the world. So much of the world is visual. So much of the sharing on social network is photos and videos. Much of our brain is dedicated to processing of visual imagery. One of the key to building systems that working is teaching computers to understand the visual world. Where the magic really started to happen is when we take these systems together, we take this reasoning system and we take this image classification system and we plug them together. We started to build things that never existed before.